In any company, any team, authority isn't just handed to you with a title. It's actually earned through this invisible agreement, an unwritten rule that really decides who gets followed and why. So forget charisma for a second. There's a hidden contract at play here. And in this explainer, we're going to map it out. Let's get into it. So here's the fundamental truth, the big idea we're exploring today. Leadership is a contract. It's a subconscious deal struck between a leader and their team. And here's the really dangerous part. Most leaders are operating without ever realizing they've even signed it, much less understanding its terms. All right, first up, let's talk about the signal here. We're calling it the leadership transaction. We're constantly told that leadership is all about inspiration and vision, but let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual mechanics of how it really works. Okay, so this really gets to the heart of it. The myth, the story we're all sold, is that leadership is this grand performance of vision and charisma. But the reality, it's much colder, much more transactional. It's a trade. Your team, whether they know it or not, is constantly asking, what am I getting in return for giving up my autonomy and offering my loyalty? It's an exchange. So if we're saying leadership is a contract, then what are the terms? What's actually in the fine print? That brings us to the pattern behind it all, the unwritten rules. And this whole agreement really boils down to just two fundamental clauses, two core exchanges. First, there's the trade for direction. And second, there's the trade for protection. Seriously, every single effective leader out there, whether they're conscious of it or not, is constantly fulfilling these two clauses. Okay, let's break down that first one. Autonomy for direction. Here's the thing, people don't really follow a vision in the abstract sense. What they're actually following is relief from the crushing anxiety of uncertainty. They are more than willing to trade their autonomy for a little bit of clarity. So the big takeaway here for any leader is this. Your authority isn't really based on how grand your vision is. It's based on how much ambiguity and confusion you can absorb for your team. Now, this second clause is just as critical, loyalty for protection. People offer up their loyalty, their obedience, in exchange for protection. And we're not just talking about physical safety, right? We're talking about psychological safety. It's that core belief that my leader is going to absorb the risk, that they'll take the heat from above, that they'll create a stable environment for us to operate in. That's the only reason control is ever tolerated, when it feels protective. Okay, so that's the theory behind the contract. But how does this actually manifest in the real world? Let's take a look at the game itself. You'll see that the specific terms might change, but the fundamental exchange, that always stays the same. This table really illustrates just how flexible this contract is. I mean, think about it. In a startup, what are employees providing? A huge tolerance for risk, long hours. And in return, the leader provides a belief in that future payoff. And crucially, a clear path to get there. Now switch to a big corporation. The trade is different. The follower provides predictable performance, and the leader provides career stability and access to resources. And then you have a military unit. The stakes are even higher. The follower provides absolute obedience under insane pressure. The leader, they provide tactical clarity and a deep-seated trust that they have your back. You see, the currency is different in each case, but the deal is exactly the same. But what happens when a leader breaks the contract? When they violate these unwritten terms? Well, let's talk about the cost. Because when this deal breaks, authority doesn't just slowly decline. It shatters, instantly. Yeah, this quote just captures the brutal, simple reality of it all. Legitimacy is incredibly fragile. A leader can have all the formal power in the world, the title, the spot on the org chart, but the second their followers feel that the deal is broken, the moment they perceive a betrayal, poof, their true authority just vanishes into thin air. And this collapse, it happens in a shockingly predictable way. It's a three-step process. So first, trust is established. The leader is honoring the deal, they're absorbing risk, they're providing direction, everything's good. But then comes step two. The contract is breached. The leader starts pushing risk downward onto the team, where they stop providing clarity and start creating confusion. And that leads to the final step. And this is key. It is not a slow decay. It is an instant evaporation. Legitimacy is just gone. Sure, you might still get compliance, but it's compliance driven by fear or a paycheck, and it is absolutely fueled by resentment, not loyalty. Okay, so understanding this contract, this hidden dynamic, that's where you get the edge. This is the difference maker. Leaders who fail are almost always blind to it, but the ones who really succeed, they master the exchange. They're seeing the signals that everyone else is missing. So what is it that they're doing differently? Well, they're not just leading, they are actively servicing the contract. They explicitly manage expectations on both sides. They act as a shield for their team, absorbing pressure from above. They are the ones who provide decisive clarity right when things are most ambiguous. They deeply understand that loyalty is earned through protection. And maybe most importantly, they never mistake their formal power for the real earned legitimacy that makes people want to follow them. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important section, the question. Now it's time to turn this entire framework inward and actually analyze the deals that you are a part of right now. First question for you, and be really honest with yourself here. Beyond the official job description, what do the people who follow you truly expect you to provide? Is it that clarity when everything feels chaotic? Is it protection from all the corporate politics? What exactly is your side of the bargain? Okay, now let's flip it. What do you implicitly, maybe even subconsciously, expect from them in return? Is it just blind loyalty? Is it long hours? Is it their patience and tolerance for ambiguity while you get things figured out? What is the unspoken price of being on your team? And that leads to the final, most critical question. Based on your honest answers to those last two questions, is the deal still intact, right now, today? Or is it silently starting to break? Because your answer to that question, well, that determines not just your effectiveness as a leader, it determines the entire foundation of your authority.